Hello everybody, my name is Luigi Pangara. I'm a photographer and a graphic designer, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create an Android Cyborg robot photo manipulation image using existing images in Photoshop, and we're going to start from scratch. Now this is a method that I use, and I've researched this and I've spent a lot of hours, literally hours, gathering research for this video. But then again, these are just tips, these are just techniques. I'm just teaching you. You can feel free to make up your own techniques and modify these techniques, and these techniques won't work for every project. Okay, let's go right on ahead. Let's start with a project. So we've got a picture of this young lady, and this is a royalty-free model image that I used in Google image search plus the licensing agreements. Like I said, don't just pull images straight from Google image search. Go to the drop down menu and choose your license. So let's start. Let's do some color correction. Let's go to here, and we're going to create a new fill adjustment layer. We want is hue and saturation. So this image is basically saturated enough. So, but we're just going to add some more. Let's add saturation, -16. Way too much. -16. Let's check the preview. That's some color. We're just slightly removing her color. Okay. And now we're going to add a levels adjustment layer. We'll go down to add adjustment layer. I'm going to add levels, and we're going to increase the blacks, and we're going to increase the whites. We can add a preview to see what it is. Maybe a little bit more, and there. That's starting to look quite good, suitable for a magazine perhaps. Let's preview. That's how it looked like. That's before, and this is the Java. Now it pops out. Image. Got the hue and saturation, which is saturating the image. Okay, so what I figured out to make this color grading, this color mix work, is to create a new layer right here. Create a new layer, and what we want is a round brush, and we want it soft, and basically we want to paint a layer of white. Excuse me. We want to paint a layer of white on her face. Now, depending on how many programs you've got open, it may slow down, and how big the image is. Don't think this image file is that too big, really. And we're going to paint her face, and paint her arms as well, and her neck. And we just want to fill it with color. And her other arm as well. So as you'll notice, as I'm doing this, I'm leaving out her eyes on purpose. I'm going to leave out her eyebrows on purpose as well, so we can get right in there and can actually use the eraser tool to get some of her eyebrows back in, like so. And let's just finish this detail off. And her lids, got to get her lids, but we just want the white of her eyes and her pupil showing up. And just to make it a clean paint, maybe fix up the edges a little bit, like that, like that, like that. And basically gonna repaint her face. Great. And if we zoom out, this is what we've created. We've created a mess. So we're going to change the layer transform mode to soft light. And we're also going to adjust the opacity a little bit to about 70%, maybe a little bit, Let's try 61%. And we turn it off, we turn it back on, it's lighted up. Maybe just a little bit more. 51. And I find that with just by this layer of white paint, face paint, digital face paint, we've desaturated her a little bit more. Of course, we can always adjust the levels. Maybe too much white. And so I think this layer of white just gives it a much more interesting color mix. Basically like that. Okay, that's the first steps. The next step we can do is create a new layer, and let's call this grooves. And what we want to do is use the pen tool, and we want to create some interesting grooves. These will be the plates that make up her robot body. Okay, this is just a basic design. It doesn't have to be super realistic for this tutorial, but you can mix and match, and because these are created by points, you can adjust them simply by clicking on the points, adjust them like that. So what we're going to do is go pick a brush. Let's try for 6, and we want maximum hardness, and we're going to select all of them like that using the path selection tool, and we're going to go right click, and we're going to go to stroke path. We're going to go OK, and that's a bit too much. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to choose a smaller brush, about 3, and with all the points selected, we're going to right click, go to stroke path, press OK, and I'm going to delete that thing, and then we have a simple plate. It's not too realistic, and I could spend hours modifying this, but I'm just doing this just to show you what this tutorial is like. So we're going to click on the grooves layer. We're going to create a new layer style. We're going to go to drop shadow, and we're going to adjust the drop shadow something like this. So blend mode, we're going to go to normal, and we're going to choose a white color, and we're going to turn off use global light, and let's change the spread a little bit so we can see what we're doing. The distance will be about 2, and let's just so the light is coming from the right side of the image, and we're just going to play around with it, see what works best. That works best. Okay. Lower the spread down a little bit. Maybe adjust the opacity a little bit like that, and it's going to create little bits of white which corresponds to what we're trying to do. Go to grooves and let's set the layer transfer mode to soft light, and we can see that these bits, it doesn't look quite realistic. So what we're going to do is going to create a layer mask using this little button here, a layer mask, and we're going to get the black brush, bigger size, and I'm going to paint over these. And the reason why we're using a layer mask, because if we used the eraser tool, we can't go back and change it. And we're just going to cut these a little bit, just to make things a little bit more seamly. And finally, we're just going to adjust the opacity of this grooves layer a little bit, like that. So that is the basic technique of creating these grooves. As I said, you can go into much detail with this as you want. Personally, what I like to do is add a new layer and using the paintbrush tool and have like a red brush or something and just plan the plates of these robot faces. But this is just a tutorial. Okay, so we created some groove, some plates to our face. Let's create a new layer, and let's call this, let's do the left side of her, left plate. And in fact, let's create a folder. We're gonna call it left, is that cheek? Sure, left cheek, and we're gonna put this new layer into this folder, left cheek. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get our favorite selection tool. Let's use this polygonal lasso tool. We're going to select the original image, and what we're going to do is do this, click that, like that, like that, and we're just going to follow the grooves that we created one by one, like that, until it's a closed circuit. And with this plate selected, we're going to select it with our marquee tool, and we're going to, our cursor will change to this, and we're going to go to right click, and we're going to go to fill, use the foreground color, yes, okay, changes something like that to black, and we're going to go back to our original layer like that. And again with the marquee tool, we're going to go right click, and we're going to go to layer via copy, and we're going to move this above and within this left cheek folder like that. And in fact, this left cheek should be underneath our white face paint. And now you got something like that. So let's turn off our grooves for a little bit, and we got something like that. So it matches the color and tone of her face, but now we've got something to play with. Alright, so let's call this face plate, and this will be fill. Great. So with this new layer selected, let's move it using the arrow keys on our keyboard to the side, and move it upwards. And you can see the grooves is in the way, so let's put it on this down like that. There we go. So we kind of revealed the inside of her face like that. Pretty cool. So with a left faceplate selected, we're going to right click it. No, we're not going to right click, we're going to go to layer style. And let's bevel and emboss. And let's change these settings here. And let's change the size a little bit to about 1. And I'm going to use global layer light. We're going to use the same kind of light source that we used for our grooves. So it'll be white here, black around here. And you don't have to use bevel and emboss, you can also use drop shadow. In fact, we're going to use drop shadow, so we can mirror the image to the back. And we're going to press OK. And it just adds like a little 3D effect to that face paste. Okay, we've got 2 images here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to create a nice selection over this image here. And these are images which I shot with my camera exclusively for this tutorial, and we're going to just drag it onto the image that we're working on, and we realize it's way too big. So what we're going to do is grab the top left corner here, we're going to shift click and we're just going to resize it a little bit. I'm going to move around here and let's get it a size around the size slightly bigger than our image, our fill layer. So, and since we've already selected it, we're just going to drop it above the left fill area like so, and just position it with our arrow tool, move it up here. And what we're going to do with this layer selected, and notice there it's above the fill layer, we're going to hold down Alt key, our cursor will change and we're going to click it, and now it's conforming to the shape of the fill layer here. So if we hide the layer, we can see that's perfectly within her face. And we're just going to do the same process with our other image, just right here. I'm going to select it. Let's not get the wires here. A little less of my finger. And we're just going to drag it once again to our image. We're going to resize it once again. And we're going to make sure it's within this folder here. And we're going to put it up against the original texture layer. Hold Alt key, cursor will change, left click it, and should conform to the shape of our original image. And let's move it while it's still conforming to the shape just a little bit, and let's turn this into a soft light layer. So just another added detail of complexity like that. There is one more step we can do if you want. Going to add a new layer directly above this layer, and let's choose a color from our swatches. Let's choose a blood red, for example, because she is a humanoid robot. She's a humanoid robot, and we're just going to paint very roughly, filling in the shape, and it doesn't matter if we go past the edges like so. Because as always, we're going to go Alt click, left click, and can even fill that in like that. Let's change the color transfer mode to soft light, and just adds a little bit of red color to her, and put the left plate back on. One last step we can do is with the original fill, which I think it makes it look much more realistic. We're going to go to this button here, add the layer style, and we want an inner shadow, and just create an inner shadow like that. And we're going to unclick use global light, and we want this part to be selected, so because that's going to be shown up. And let's increase the size of it and just create a nice shadow in it, like it's recessed, right? Press OK, turn back to on fly plate, and there we do. We have it. Now another further step you can choose, and you can do this to the left cheek, or you can select our eye. We're going to create a new layer, call it eye tint, and let's choose a color. Let's make it a cyan color, something a little bit darker, something like that. And what we want to do is go to one of our eyes. Let's choose this eye because it's showing up a little bit more. And basically we're going to get a soft brush about the size of our eye, one around her pupil, and we're going to get a lighter color for the one we just picked. I'm just going to paint around the edges. So we've got a circular shape with a light colored above it. And what we can do is change this to screen and adjust the opacity like that. And we can also apply a blur. Either we can duplicate it, duplicate layer, eye blur, right? And we go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and blur it up. Adjust the opacity. Just give it a little bit of glow. Or we can go and create a layer style, outer glow, and instead of a yellowy color we can choose a cyan color, and we can make it a little bit bigger and adjust the spread, or we can have both. Super bright eyes. That looks okay. And you can use this technique of creating glowing eyes to go back to the left cheek layer and create some glowing wires like that. Simple. And that is about it. Those are all the techniques I want to share on creating your very own cyborg robotic android type image. Utilize these techniques, modify them to your heart's content, and I would like to see the images that you try to come up with. Thank you for watching this video, and if this video has benefited you somehow, some way, please share this video online via social media so we can all help each other out. Thank you for watching.